Jermaine Taylor. I am actually so excited to do the show. I got to meet you. I want to say it was about 2 weeks ago. We were collaborating, working on stuff. You're helping me with a huge project. And it was actually very incredible, the process you took me through. And I'm just super grateful for you. So number one, I want to say thank you for helping me so far. And you get a lot of accolades from the people you work with. And I've heard so many good things about you. But for our listeners, for our viewers, just give a little brief summary of who the heck are you and where are you from? Where are you located?
So do you want me to answer where I'm from or where I'm located?
Both. Tell us the story. We want to know about it. And I'll probably interrupt you many times because I'm going to ask questions.
So I was actually not born in this country. So born in England to Jamaican parents, moved to America in about 2007. And then I graduated from, so when I moved to America, I moved to Georgia. Then I moved from Georgia to Florida, graduated from a high school in Florida in 2013. And then, I kind of saw how society was going. Everybody wanted to go a little bit more traditional. And I was looking at the generation older than me and I was like, yeah, I think I want a different kind of life. And so that's what got me into, business, wealth creation, being a solutionist. I realized everyone always said that cash is king, and I saw contribution was king instead. So I said, my first original goal was to give more value than everybody around me. And then that's what brought me into like many different places and industries. I ended up talking to CEOs who owned like direct sales companies. I ended up talking to master business builders. I ended up finding people who could turn a little bit into a lot in investing. And I just asked questions. I did what anybody who wants to progress did. And that just kind of led to, the next thing.
Well, I wrote down 3 words for you when I was doing some things: influencer, solutionist, wealth creator. Those can be fun words, and sometimes those words can be exploited a little bit too much. When someone says influencer, sometimes we're like, like we don't think of the right. Sometimes we think of the influencers that kind of got influenced in the wrong way, But when I think about you as an influencer, you are only 25 years old. Am I correct?
26 this time.
26. Well, you're 26 years young. That's incredible. You have an incredible story. And when I say started from the bottom, I started from the bottom as well. I have humble beginnings. And I don't mean that. Like sometimes I think people think, oh, I was living in nothing. It's like, no, but humble beginnings is starting from scratch, And I think it's really important. There's a lot of people, entrepreneurs they're hustlers. They started with a dream, and you had the opportunity to go after that dream. What part of Florida were you in, by the way?
Fort Lauderdale. So
Lauderdale.
From Miami, yeah.
All right. So you were in a good part. You don't even get to talk to me. I lived in Pahokee. So right next to Lake Okeechobee. It was pretty rough when I was really little, but I loved it. Florida's beautiful. Absolutely love Florida. I'll probably have a home there soon. But yeah, I absolutely love it. So, okay. We had talked previously and we were talking about your project, and you had kind of told me your journey, but let's talk about that. So you got started, you wanted to become a big influencer. You wanted to change things, but it's always a rocky road. So let's talk about that, because not a lot of people talk about the grit. They always talk about that success. Like, oh, look at me now. Let's talk about before that. Let's talk about kind of the trials that you went through. So you graduate high school, you're ready to go. You have goals and dreams. What happened?
All right. So you know how everyone has a plan, and so the plan goes different, right? So my plan was like, somebody came up to me one day, right? So this is actually what happened. So right after I graduated high school, it was either go to college, right, and get into a lot of debt. And my friends are racing towards $80,000 in college debt. And I wanted to spend time with the ones I loved, and I wanted to not do it the traditional way. So that's when I found network marketing, right? So I actually made $14,000 on the internet before I ever had a job. That was a true story. In high school, as a senior, I had a residual income. That's also a true story.
That's awesome.
So right when I started trying to take my business seriously, what happened was my grandmother moved back to England, and she actually had just passed actually a couple of days ago. That was the thing I was going to say I wasn't going to say, but here we are. And so she moved back to England to be with her family. And then my mother couldn't carry the bill. So right when I get serious about business at 18, that's when I go homeless. So at that point, it was just like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? So funny enough, sales and marketing and business, I was doing that while I was homeless. I was making commissions while working from 7 in the morning to 11 at night. Like that was the grind.
Right.
And I made more money on the internet on the side off my commissions than I did when I was actually on the job. So where I was working was a sales job. Actually, it wasn't a sales job. It was a customer service job in which they forced me to be sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, I would have to say things like, we realize you've been with us since 2000 and whatever. Would you like to get this phone? And when they would upgrade to $1,000 phone, I would get $13. Now I realized I was moving 4 or 5 or 6 lines per hour. So they made $5,000, $6,000 an hour, and I made $13. So I made a decision while I was homeless, because when everyone was, kind of going home to their comfy place, I would go to the gym floor or the park bench. That was my home.
Right. I was going to stop you and say, because I've been homeless at a point in my life. When I say it though, I always reference, I had a place to go, but I didn't have my own home. And it was really tough. There was nowhere to go. So I want to make sure people understand that, because, and I'm not saying it's bad, but it's easy to not understand it. And it's like, no, this is the real deal. You had nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because I would sleep I had a little system, right? So since I slept at the gym, I would keep like dress shirts in like one locker in the gym. I went to Walmart, I put, a padlock on my like electronics at the gym, and then I had my gym clothes, and then I had just everything else. I used the lockers as a storage unit. I would sleep at work, or when I got off work, I would sleep in this little nursery thing that they had for children inside the gym for when the parents were working. So that was like my life for like a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then after that, when I started learning, so this is when the breakthrough changed. I realized that I didn't like my life, right? And at first I wanted comfortability. So I thought that, okay, if I keep spending $200 a week on just a place to sleep, this was the decision that actually changed my life. I'm like, if I keep doing this, I'll never have enough to get an apartment to get stable. So that's how I ended up on the park benches and gym floors. One day when I went to work, I realized what I do today is going to determine where I am tomorrow. So it's like, be uncomfortable now, be comfortable later, be comfortable now, and stay uncomfortable longer than I needed to be. So once I figured that out, then it was the second shift was I would go to the beach before I would go to work, and I would shoot content at the beach, but I would post the content on social media before I had went to work. And when I realized that, it's marketing, it's attention precedes awareness, right? You can't tell someone about your message if they're not listening to you, if they're not attentive. Mm-hmm. So I started figuring out that, and you know what, it was awkward because I was in the make money on my niche. And it's like, how do you tell people that they can make money, but you yourself are in a destitute situation? And then I realized it wasn't about me. It was about the outcome that they wanted. Yeah. So that's when I started
No, keep going. But here's a point I want to make, because it's really important. I don't mean to interrupt. I hate interrupting people, but this is important for people, because there are a lot of people that are listening right now going, I'm homeless. Or, we all have phones. We're blessed because we can get on a phone and make money. Like, seriously, we're in an era where we can do it. You can get out so quickly. But for people who are in dire, like they're going to work, they have no money, they're trying to make it, and they're going, how do I share my story? And this is where you come in, because you walked me through a process, may not be exactly the same, but you walked me through a process that really helped with this. And I think the message today is really for the people who are like, you don't have to be in network marketing either. This is just a platform. But whatever you do, social media is the most powerful tool. And you mastered it when you didn't have anywhere but the beach, right? So let's talk about that. I think that is so important. I love that. Go ahead.
Okay, so while you're asking about that, is it okay if I just pull up pictures? It might be a little bit easier.
That's fine.
I'll pull up the slides so you guys can see. But basically, so what I did was basically I realized that as long as I was talking about something that was helpful, people were going to pay attention, right? So that's what I did. I paid attention to what people wanted, and what people usually want in the top three niches is they want their relationships good. They want to know how to make money, and that revolves around sales, and they wanted to learn to invest. So I literally was studying those three topics as I was kind of going through the hardest times. And so what I wanted to show you real quick was what some of those.
So I have to push screen share, right? And then do I just click desktop, whiteboard?
I think it's just allow the participant, but if it's too much of a hassle, it's not a big deal. We could just describe it instead.
We can describe it, but you know what you can do? Here, you can send it to me and I'll have Chris put it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, there was a point in time where I was at the beach early, and what I was doing specifically was I was basically telling people, "Hey, did you know that this was possible?" Because it wasn't about me. I wasn't saying, "Hey, I'm some big guru." I was saying, "Hey, did you know this was possible? Hey, these are some things that I found." And I think that one of the biggest things at the beginning when people start their career in any industry, they think that they have to be an expert.
Yes.
Yes or no, you could be a researcher. You can be a news reporter in a sense, right? When the news people bring us the news, we still pay attention because they bring our awareness to something that we need to be aware of. So you don't have to be a guru. You can be a researcher. You can be the person that goes on an adventure that says, "Hey, I don't know how this adventure is going to turn out, but come along for the ride and we'll see." And I just did that for a long time. I just did it long enough for it to work, but it worked fast enough for me to get off my job very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, I look at some of the things you do, you're into Forex trading now. Mm-hmm. What other projects do you have going on? They're really important because I know you work with kids. That's really important. So I want to dive into your projects and how they got started because, you got yourself out and, you started making some money. You got a following, you really started to build up your following. And that's where it's more fun because now as an entrepreneur, you're like, now I can do what I really want to do. And those are your projects. So let's talk about the passions that you dove into.
Okay. So before I got into entrepreneurship, I was into music, right? So I played for the high school jazz band. So I started realizing that so music is very, very important to a lot of people, right? Music is the universal thing. So I started exploring music. I started exploring arts. I started exploring poetry. And what I found is that was the place where people who are in pain go, right? Mm-hmm. So when we want to heal the mind, we get educated. But when we want to heal the heart, we need something more soulful. So what happened is, and this is also a true story. Sorry for all the tragedy, but
I love it.
When we launched I have a company that I co-own with a partner of mine. His name is Famous Amos. So he's on to like BET and he's on like big stages. He has about 3 million followers. So when we started that project, originally we were trying to create a way for the world to come into wealth, right? Mm-hmm. Around that time, one of my students who had been around me since about 2014, he actually he shot himself in the head. He committed suicide, right? So at that moment, that's when I decided, wait a minute, there's things that are more important than money, right? And I had to figure out how am I going to incorporate these things. So one of the business partners that was attached to him brought me a kid. He was 19 years old. And when I saw, this kid was around me, gravitated towards me. At first, it was a relationship where it was like, I'm just teaching you. Then he started telling me that he was battling with certain things, mental health issues, suicide, and he was 19. So I started questioning, like, hold on, why is this happening? We found out that it was one of the things that he was listening to in the music. We found the exact lyric that happened to be suicidal. So I taught him about the subconscious mind. I taught him about, different things. And so where I'm at right now is teaching wealth creation, but also teaching people the other sides. Like your health is important to sustaining your wealth, and health doesn't just include your body, it includes your mental health. It includes all these different things. So where I'm at is I'm trying to help change the culture of industries, whether it's selfish and turning it from what can I get from a person to what can I give, or whether it's the children, sharing with them, hey, what you put in your mind is very much important. Teaching people about building support systems, teaching people about how to bounce back from traumatic experiences. Because I can't remember where I found this concept, but somebody said your life is like a table, and if one leg is weak, the whole table can kind of collapse. So you may be trying to go after your income, but then you have a broken heart, or this unresolved issues in your mind, or you haven't really figured out how you're going to relate to your friends, or those kinds of things actually play a lot more bigger role in performance. So I started going after that in music and talking to the kids and helping women and children. I started collecting stories from other people who have had basically beaten difficult circumstances. And then on the other side of things, I made sure that, because on the business side of things, a lot of people, they teach stuff and it works, but they don't a lot of times get to the key. I call it the key, the thing that's going to unlock the door, the 4% that's going to dictate the 96, right? Because you heard of the 80-20 rule. So there's 4% that dictates 96, it's 4% of 4. So that's basically where I was at, teaching people that awareness, this is basically my message to the world in a nutshell. Awareness is going to lead to your advantage, and your advantage is going to allow you to advance in every industry, right? So I'm just connecting with people, figuring out what their dreams and goals are, what they want to do, and I'm helping them do it. And I realized that it's so rewarding. It doesn't always have to be in a business context. A lot of the people, they have really good ideas. They just don't have a chance, or they don't have a connection, or they don't have a resource. So what I am is, I'm like, okay, cool. I'll be the connection. I'll be the resource. And
you're the connector.
One big team, and then we can help each other in whichever way.
So what's really interesting is that one of the biggest tools in my tool belt has been the self-awareness. And I think a lot of people lack that. That's not mean. And self-awareness can be very hard because it's easy to numb, right? I come from, drinking background and alcoholism in my family, and numbing everywhere. Like we are in a world that numbs itself. Music is one of the most powerful tools. And what people aren't aware of is they're feeding their minds. And I love all kinds of music, so I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, I'm listening to that. I mean, I listen to all the things, but when you're aware of what's being said to, and you're not allowing it to affect you. And a lot of the times people will zone out and allow it in without being aware of, hey, that's not a message I agree with, but I'm listening to the music. And just being aware of it is key. So I love that. But I am big on this. To be successful, you have to heal yourself, your traumas, and you have to have self-mastery, because it will affect everything else. I think a lot of people, success is monetary. Not really. Success and wealth, that's being in here. To be wealthy, you need to be wealthy in the mind first and foremost, or it's not going to matter, because the minute you get something that comes in, it's going to go right back out, because that mind and what's going on, and whether it's trauma or whatever's going on in there, it will push it right back out. So there's a lot of times you see people who will get money right away, and then they lose it right away. Like it's gone. And it's not necessarily always from spending, but I mean, that happens too. That's another issue. We got to work on that. But the other thing is, when I looked at this year investing, and this is an important thing to talk about too, because I know you're good at this. When you're investing in something, whether you're paying somebody for a service, you don't always get that return of investment in money. Okay. When I decide to partner with somebody, I might not do it with the intention of, well, he's going to make me $10,000. No, what is this person going to do to enrich me? And that does not mean with money. And I think if people could shift that mindset, they, number one, and have a attitude of gratitude, it would change so many people's trajectories, and it would shorten the path to success and wealth, because they would unlock the key, which is Mr. Key. You unlock that key. It's really hiding inside of us. And that's really an important focus. So I love that. So when we talk about kids, you minister to kids in the street, we say it that way. Let's talk about that project a little bit more, obviously through music, but what are you doing for kids specifically? That's pretty exciting. One of our mutual friends kind of shared with me some of the project you're doing, and I'm like, that's insane and awesome all at once. So let's talk about the kids.
Kids.
Yeah.
So with kids, like I said, they listen to poetry, music, art. They listen to common sense. Unfortunately, with the kids, they've looked at their parents who haven't done a good job. If their parents haven't, well, I wouldn't say they haven't done a good job, but if they don't understand the sacrifices of their parents that their parents are growing too, and even in the growing of their parents, they may have missed some things of development for themselves. So what I'm doing for the kids is I'm giving them entirely new circles, because a lot of things that people don't understand is you can only duplicate what you see. If you happen to have seen better, you have the opportunity to do better because you've seen better. If all you've ever seen is not progression, all you can ever do is not progress. Right.
Right.
So what I'm doing is I'm building networks for the kids. I'm teaching them sales. I'm teaching them marketing. I'm teaching them investing. I'm teaching them, things, simple things like how you dress is how you'll be addressed, becoming value,
Mhm.
be value, contribute. A lot of people say cash is king. The rest of that sentence is in a crisis. In every other circumstance, contribution is king. I'm teaching people,
Mhm.
yeah, you can go for the money, but money is a finite resource in the pockets of people. So guess what? If you collect the people, you'll always have the money, because the money is in the pockets of the people. And if those people are bonded to you, you'll have everything you need. So I started teaching people how to build tribes, the kids, how to build their own support systems. But the thing is, a lot of times, even in industries like network marketing, which I operate in sometimes. So now I'm more in the consulting space, the investing space, the
Mhm.
digital real estate space, teaching people how to get views and get their message across to whoever they feel like resonates with their message. But even in network marketing, they build teams that requires leadership,
Mhm.
right? A lot of people don't know that even if you have no followers, the first person you have to lead is yourself. So I'm teaching them how to lead yourself, how to program your own mind, how to maintain what you put in your subconscious, because what you impress on your subconscious will be expressed in your external reality. I'm showing them things like prosperity is a choice, right? There's a way that leads to progression and closer to wealth, and there's a way that is the opposite of that leads to poverty. Poverty is a path. It's not even a mindset. A lot of people say it's a mindset. It's a decision to continue down the path of non-financial progression. So I'm teaching them that, once again, it starts with awareness. From awareness, now you have the ability to say, hey, what's going to give me an advantage? You move towards your advantage, and your advantage, if you keep gaining advantages, lead to advancement. So with the kids, what we're sharing with them is like, if you pick your direction and if you know where you want to go, you're not going to end up somewhere randomly, because you took the wheel of your life and you said, in this vehicle called my body, in this life, I'm driving here. And here is forward, here is progressive, here is rewarding fulfillment, here is contribution, here is networking, here is resources, here is opportunity, not wasting time, not walking around aimlessly, not being afraid just because your friends or family said this isn't going to work, because they've never experienced
Mhm.
anything different. So it's I don't know, it's kind of a complicated answer, but in essence, all I'm teaching is awareness. If you are aware, you are able to pick the direction that your life is going to go. And if you're not aware, your direction is going to go wherever life blows it. And I'll end with this. I heard one time, it's not the blowing of the wind that determines your destination, it's the setting of the sail. So
Mhm.
where are you setting that sail? The winds of life are going to blow regardless. That you have no control over. What you do have control over, what you do have control over is in what direction are you going to allow the wind to blow you. So
Mhm. I think it's really important. We talk about awareness and we talk about, the environment. Environment is everything. I used to be such a stubborn person in this. And as I've grown my network over the years too, and listen to perspectives, you have to be open. So the other thing about leadership as well, and in general, leading yourself is be open to other perspectives. Don't walk around with this hard head and stubbornness. It's easy to say, but we get so set in our ways because of our environment, either where we grew up, what we were told, what we watched, that we tend to think that's the truth and that's our truth. And there's a difference between our truth and the truth. And we have to respect everybody's truth because my environment wasn't the same as your environment. But if we could be open and we can go, okay, so I grew up in a small town in Duluth, Minnesota, which had like 3,500 people in it. I'm not going to relate instantly to somebody who grew up in a major city or in another country or all the things, right? But what makes it amazing is when we open up and have perspectives and are allowing that in, we can help show our children as well. And this is really cool. What you're doing is you're giving them the tools at a very young age to see outside their environment. Because I grew up poor and I was able at a young age to reach out and look at other environments to see what I could have. The power of social media is incredible, and you have harnessed that. And part of my story is when I was telling people, when I was $1 million in debt, true story, I was $1 million in debt not that long ago. It was about 10 years ago. I wasn't telling people at the time, I'm $1 million in debt, but you need to sign up with me. Like, you don't say that. I was really good at projecting what's going to happen. I always made affirmations. And when I spoke to people in my words are powerful. When I spoke to people, I would say, I am, and the great I am $1 million earner. I am hitting the top rank of the company in 90 days. So I would say that and people would be like, wow, really? Yeah. Because I truly believed it. I said it to everyone. And when you can be powerful, when you have intention and power in your words, it happens. So it was amazing that I've done this several times, but I see you do the same thing. And if we can teach that to people, no, you don't fake it till you make it, because I don't agree with that. But there's a difference between being at the beach, even though you were homeless, you were showing the possibility. So let's talk about social media and what you do on there and how you help people that way as well. I know you trade Forex. Am I correct on that? You trade Forex. So talk about that really quick too, because I would like to be a little educated. Forex trading has a lot of stigma, like, oh, it's a scheme and that. No. Let's talk about Forex trading and what it's done for you and how you're helping people with it.
Okay. So what year is this? Okay. In 2018, was it 18? Yeah. In 2018, I turned $1,000 into 20 grand in a week, right? And it was on purpose, but a complete accident. And here's what I mean by that. I knew the investment was good. I didn't know how far it could go, right? So, and let me tell you how it actually happened. So there was a friend of mine, right? He had came from a place like Ghana, and somebody had actually blown his money. So he lost like something crazy, like 10 grand, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I was trying to teach them how to do it. And then I ended up, because we were on a Zoom call, and I ended up just doing it for them. And so what happened was we were on a Zoom call, and it was about 3:00 on a Monday. And I said, here, I'll share with you how to, you sell high, you buy low, you sell high. So it was at the highest point of the entire month on gold, which happened to be like around my birthday. Mm-hmm. So I said, do you trust me? And they said, I trust you. So I took the trade. And as the market continued to fall, because I called it at the very top, it was at the top, the highest point of the entire month. It wasn't going any higher. It had already started falling, and I caught it. And then I learned about this thing called leverage. So with the Forex market was different than the stock market, crypto market, and every other market. You have the ability to say, if the market moves 10 points, I can put $1 on it. So that's $10. You have the ability to say, if the market moves 10 points, I can put $10 on it. You could say, if the market moves 10 points, I could put $100 on it, which would equal $1,000. So what I was doing is every single time the market would go in a direction and then it would pull back just a little bit, I was putting as much leverage as I could on every single, what we call in the trading world, a pullback.
Okay.
Which I call a discount. So it's like, imagine a price is really expensive, right? And then it goes cheaper, you buy it. Or if it's depreciating and it goes up in value, you're selling it at the highest possible price you can. Mm-hmm. And I hit the market with so much leverage within 7 days, I turned $1,000 into 20 grand. And I didn't know that was possible. So we think that after doing something like that, you just do it some more, right? No, I actually became fascinated about why did that happen? How come? Because this time is where I see people take trades and they talk about things like drawdown and the market going against them. And it's just that they just didn't understand certain things. You're only afraid of what you don't understand. So I started researching, like, why did this happen? Where does this happen? When is it going to happen again? And then that journey led me to some discoveries. And when I started teaching those discoveries, to my surprise, people were actually more, they're inclined to invest because it doesn't require things like sales and things like, marketing. And I noticed that niche took off. So I started teaching people. To my surprise, I had one student turn like $47 into 600 in like the span of like a day or two or three. $47. So when I shared that, well, he shared it and I reshared it. That basically taught a lot of people what was possible. And when I did this, by the way, I did it on Facebook Live. So it's all verified. It's on social media. It was on a live account. I did I think like a 30-minute live, and I taught people still to this day, still on my wall, how that happened. And then that just opened doors. And then I started getting around other investors, started seeing what their styles were. We started comparing investment styles and strategies. And then I realized everything is the same, but the key to investing is simple. It's just like when you go to a store, right? When you try to buy something, no one goes to a store or let's say Nike, no, or maybe you're getting like an expensive jacket, right? No one says, hey, this jacket is $80. I'm going to get it when it's 200. That's how people invest, right? They're like, I'm going to pay for it when it's its most expensive price because it's going up. But in actuality, what do we do in real life? We wait for it to go on sale. We wait for it to be cheaper. And that's all it is. Is people don't want to wait.
I like that. I like that. So we were looking at your social media when you were helping me a couple weeks ago, and let's talk about the power of leveraging stories, because I'm big on this. Obviously, I built my business on stories and leverage, and being authentic. So let's give some action right now for some people who are listening. What can you do if somebody's got a social media? You want it to go. Everybody's on social media, so how can you leverage your social media? Let's give them like 5 tips that are basic to increase the social media engagement and get followers and have the right content, because there's so much garbage out there. How can somebody go, whoa, this is what I want to see, and use their story to leverage it?
Do I have like 30 seconds to think of the answer?
No. Yeah, you can, but let's talk about your story and how you did it, because I think that's more important. Let's relate it to your story, because your story is really good. So obviously you shared a little bit about your story. So how did you leverage that on social media? Like, how did you do that?
So, okay. So research is the first word. So I was in the make money online niche. So before we talk about building a following, you have to know why you're building it, right? So I knew, and I had the issue too of I needed to overcome money. So I was going to learn everything I could about wealth. So you have to know what your audience wants. So my 2 favorite questions when I ask anybody anything is, where are you? Where do you want to go? Where are you at in life? Where do you want to be? Because only when you know where they are and where they want to be, do you know really what to talk about, right? So I understood that a lot of people wanted to learn about creating wealth so that they didn't have to work a job. So the first step, like I said, is always awareness. The first step of that is just being aware that if you want to leave your job, you're going to have to either have a business, or you're going to have to learn to invest, or you're going to have to learn to sell, or you're going to have to learn to market. So my message was always about, here are the things that you need to be aware of if you want to go there, right? So if I was in a different niche, like losing weight, I would say, well, these are the pillars to losing weight. And here are the problems that are stopping you from doing that. So that's what it is. It's understanding their problems, and then you're not really delivering solutions, because that's how basically you get paid, right? That is, they buy the solution from you. What you are gonna do is talk about their problems, talk about why their problems are occurring, talk about how to stop their problems, talk about the bumps that they're hitting in the road. And you can, so in the sales context, when I was homeless and I was on the beach, basically all I was simply saying is, hey, did you know that you can post content on the internet, get people to pay attention to you, build relationships, see what they want, where they are, where they want to be. And if they like you, they'll get it from you. They'll buy it from you because you were the person who told them about it. And that was like, that didn't require me to be a guru to share with somebody that they could do that.
Well, you hit pain points. So another way to say it is hitting the pain points, but you're strategic. I think a lot of people go on social media and think it's sloppy and they're going to go viral in a second. It's like maybe, but you're not going to stay that way if you didn't have a strategic plan in place. And I think that's what's really important, what we're trying to teach people. And also the other thing that happens a lot when we say influencer, this is what I think: sitting on a private jet that they don't own and taking a photo and then acting like they have that lifestyle. That is the wrong message. And we're coming into an age where if you're not authentic, you're out. Like, you used to be able to get away with that probably about 10 years ago, even up to recently. And it's shifting because this generation of young people don't want to see that. They're actually changing it in a positive way. And so you have to be authentic. So a lot of people struggle with, how am I authentic? How do I show this dream I have? It's called just say it how it is. And so many people struggle with that. And I always say, be a rebel, be your authentic self. It's seriously what it is. Just be you. Like, be you in a world of all the same people. And how do you show that? And that's kind of how we wrap up what you do. It's, you're aware, you get the tools, you get strategic, you share your authentic story, and you find out who your audience is, which is really important. You don't, I always say this too, like, not everyone's going to love you or like you. Get over it. Find your crew. Who's your crew? And that's all you have to focus on, because you're going to attract those people with your stories. I just shared a story the other day on my Facebook, and it went, I got a lot of likes and stuff because it was real. I was really honest about some things, and people could relate to it because I didn't sugarcoat it. I didn't try to make it look glamorous. I didn't sit in front of a car that was rented that I didn't own. Nobody wants to see that. And so I think you're in the generation that's authentic and authentic selves. And I really want people to see that. Like, do not fake it till you make it. Be you all the time with intention and awareness. So as we wrap the show, any final thoughts for our listeners or viewers? Anything that's on your mind? It doesn't even matter what it is. I don't even care. What kind of music? What's your favorite kind of music? I'm curious.
Jazz.
Okay. I love that. And you know what? If you come to Duluth, which you will, I will bring you to my favorite little place. It's a bar, although I don't drink, that's fine. I'll have a mocktail. And it's a jazz bar, and it's like 30s. It's like, it looks like that with live musicians, and it's very cool. It's very fun. It's one of my favorite places, and it's right down the road from where I live, like right down the street. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it would be cool to hang out. And the final words is, if you're going to build a business, I recommend anyone who's trying to create wealth, understand the formulas which I'll give away freely. First, you have to collect money before you can compound. A lot of people, they want to jump straight into investing, but they're not thinking about what happens if it doesn't go the way you want it to go. Yeah. You have to be willing to take the risk. But the easy way to negate the risk is just have a way to collect money and have investments. Work on both. Learn how to get money and then multiply it. You save to invest. But the other thing I wanted to say is, in the collecting phase, how do you do that? 2 words: relationships and recommendations, right? If you spend 80-90% of your time building relationships, now you're not necessarily building relationships to sell to people. You're building relationships to find out what they're interested in. The recommendation is if you feel like what you have is in their best interest and they can see clearly, okay, yeah, this is going to move me forward. No one's going to see a way for them to move forward and not take it, right? And that's the cool thing about, what people call sales. I just call consulting. It's like, hey, this is where you are. This is where you said you wanted to be. This is the bridge that's going to get you there. Do you want to walk this bridge? How committed are you to this path? I'm asking questions and seeing what they want to do, right? And if they're scared, I'm helping them overcome that. Because what people are really purchasing, and this is important, this is deeper than, they want love, they want confidence, they want peace of mind, they want happiness, they want growth, they want love, they want confidence, they want peace of mind, they want happiness, they want growth. That's what you're really selling. Right? People buy with emotion first, and then they justify it with logic. So if you have a real relationship with them, right, you intuitively will know, okay, they're on this path. This is where they are. This is where they're going. And so my style of just helping people move forward with sales decisions, it's not really like pressuring them to buy something. It's more like you said you wanted to climb this mountain. So I find them on a mission first. I don't try to take someone who's not on a mission and then bring them to a mission that
Right.
they, yeah. So I find them on the mission that they're on, and then I basically help them. I give them the tools to climb the mountain they were already climbing. So when last thing when COVID hit and people, the George Floyd thing happened and people like jobs suck and the world's not fair and we need money. I literally, well, I don't say I, me and my partners, we literally created a company and put $1 million back in the hands of people in less than 6 months. We did it just to prove a point that if you have enough relationships, you don't need to depend on anything outside of yourself or your relationships or your circle. And that's what it's about. It's who wants to join the progressive circle? Who wants to join the winning circle? Who doesn't want the pain of what you're currently going through with the problems and the stumbling blocks and the roadblocks and no support? Who wants to be in an environment where they can actually overcome? And it's just understanding that because people want to move forward, because people want to grow, they're always going to say yes to their highest potential. And all you have to do, you don't have to sell them. You actually have to nurture them out of their fears and into their faith. That's actually what the secret is. It's actually empathy is stronger than sales. If I'm going to say, hey, look, I know what it's like to be scared. I also know if you don't do anything, you're going to stay here and you don't like where you're at. So is it okay if I ask that you move forward so you don't stay stuck? And if they understand that if I stay where I'm at, life will never change. Remember when I told you the decision that moved my life forward was when I realized what I do today is going to determine where I am tomorrow. If they see that insanity moment of if I keep doing the same thing, I'm going to keep getting the same result. But if I do something different, anything different is going to move me forward. That's when the sale happens. That's when the deal happens. That's when the transaction happens. And that's when you have a chance to show them, unlike everybody else who disappeared, you're going to be there. And that relationship creates bonds. Now, if you do that over a period of time, you're going to have many relationships. You're going to know exactly what they want. You're going to know where they are in life. Every time you come across something that can help them on thetheir path and you're able to share it with them, that's going to create goodwill. And the next time there's an opportunity to transact, it's more than likely to happen.
Absolutely. It's also about you say it a lot without saying is asking the right questions. You need to ask questions. And the final thing is to change, we have to change. And change can be painful, but it's worth it. And yeah, insanity. There's so many people sitting and doing the same thing over and over. And it's time. We're in a season right now to change, and we're in a season to reap the rewards. And as a collective, as a whole of the world, we're all in that season, and everybody has that opportunity no matter what's going on around us. So I thank you so much. And for our viewers and our guests, well, where can they find you if they want to work with you or just watch you, whatever? Where is the best place to go?
Okay, so 3 places. So any time you type in Mr. Key, I'm sure I'm going to pop up. I haven't seen any other Mr. Keys out there. Freedom in 365 is one of the companies that we're launching where we're teaching people how to create wealth creation education. And my personal brand is called Upgrade. That's just a project for communities to help upgrade the world through everything, through stories, through music, through business, through investing. Any way we can reach people, find out what they're doing and complement their journey. That's what Upgrade is. And I like the way that you use the word the collective, because on the planet, we tend to think of ourselves as it's just us here. No, there's families, there's other things, there's other people, and you would be surprised who would connect with you if you just reach out. A lot of times people are under the impression that others are just so busy, and that is the truth. Everyone is busy, but if you connect with the right people and they're going in the same journey as you, even I'll give you another cheat code. A lot of people are trying to go for the top spots. They're trying to impress the wrong people. In my opinion, there's people at the bottom, and I want to say bottom, I don't mean like don't have money. I mean, like whatever industry, there's people who are just starting that industry. You might be 1 step ahead, 2 steps, 3 steps. And you're like, well, this person's 300 steps. I'm not qualified. No, if you're 3 steps ahead, then help the person who's on their first step, who's on their second step. If you just double back just to see who's struggling, who was left behind, who somebody else treated like trash, that can become your treasure. And that's the secret. This is powerful. The person with one eye is king in the land of the blind, right? And I didn't realize what qualifies, because a lot of times we think we're not good enough. We think, who am I to help this person? What if I don't know what to say? But if you can see anything remotely and a person can't see anything at all, that qualifies you to help them.
Mm-hmm.
That's my final words.
I love that. I love that. And I think, you know what? I will say this. I am never too busy to meet somebody new. And that has been in life, if I have the opportunity to have an experience, or I have an opportunity to get introduced to somebody else, no matter what they are, I don't care what their status is. When I have the opportunity to make a new connection or relationship, I always have time. And I think a lot of people do. It's that they're scared to do it. Like, oh, what if I don't like this? But who cares? They're going to give you something, even if it's a bad thing. At least you'll know, well, that one didn't work out. You know what I mean? What not to do maybe next time. But there's no such thing as a bad connection, because everybody's connected to somebody that can help you, support you, or even love you. And you got to be willing to be open to receive those connections.